Emotional support, a viable solution for college athletes' mental health recovery. Exploring the role of emotional support in facilitating mental health recovery for college athletes.
Understanding mental health challenges in college sports.
50% of student athletes believe that mental health is a priority to their athletics department. 56% know how to help a teammate experiencing a mental health issue. 47% would be comfortable seeking support from a mental health provider. 53% reported that coaches take their mental health concerns seriously, and 63% felt their teammates take their mental health concerns seriously.
High pressure environments. Coaches often allow for an athlete concussion to continue playing if the game is considered important.
Basically, athletes feel pressure from their coaches to return too soon for fear of damaging their relationships with their coaches or fear of losing their spot, and that can exacerbate their injury and make it worse by returning too soon. Stigma around mental health.
In current society, athlete mental health support is often discouraged because it's considered weak, so many athletes don't utilize the resources they have.
In the study, a person reflects on its disdainful perception, explaining that since the standard is super tough and willing to push herself to get through hard workouts, college athletes face fear concerning judgment from teammates.
This can lead to worse injuries and not helping recover fully, both physically and mentally. Lack of resources and support. Multiple college athletes struggle with mental health. Additionally, athletes unable to find help due to lack of adequate mental health resources and trained professionals to support these athletes.
Schools across all divisions are legislatively required to provide student athletes mental health resources and education consistent with the mental health best practices.
When there are no support systems, I don't remember this one.
Okay, so some possible solutions include emotional therapy, injury prevention, and mental health awareness.
Emotional therapy is basically just a system of therapists and coaches providing mental help, and it just helps the student as they experience a lot of emotions on their road to recovery from their injury.
Injury prevention reduces injury with rest days, improved recovery machines. So there's machines and stretches and other preventions that athletes can do to help prevent injuries, and including rest days. So athletes often take rest days to help them recover, which can help overall injury prevention.
And there's also mental health awareness, which just shares mental health resources across the program so everyone gets a share of the money. And we thought emotional therapy was the best solution for this because of the fact that the other two, they either help with stopping the injuries or the money or where the money goes, but this is the only one that really helps on the once the injury happens and you're recovering.
Types of emotional support available. There are internal support networks from coaches, athletic trainers, staff, and advisors that help the athlete from within.
And then there are external support networks, including family, friends, organizations, and personal psychologists that help the athletes externally.
Impact of emotional support on mental health outcomes. Emotional support significantly influences college athletes' mental health, promoting recovery and resilience. 15% of NCAA athletes' deaths was due to suicide.
This stat becomes increasingly more sad when you learn that from 2012 to 2022, that's 88 people who took their own lives. And we have methods to help people emotionally, especially athletes, but many athletes are either scared to or think it'll be perceived as weak, so they try to hide their emotions, which is clearly not the best solution for this. Also, 40% of athletes saw a decrease in anxiety levels due to their emotional support.
So the statistics show that there's a direct relationship between emotional support and so when there's a higher level of emotional support, the anxiety levels go down, which is a positive aspect in emotional support that we have found. Athletes double, oh my gosh, how do I say this? How do I say this?
Athletes experience.
Athletes experience 2 times increase in resilience among athletes with emotional support.
This just shows how much the emotional support can help you, and that they're twice as resilient after the emotional support, which just shows that more colleges should be using the money that they've been given to help their students with emotional support, because it doesn't just help them mentally, it also would affect their play in the sport. And 60% of athletes feel more motivated and engaged when they have the proper support.
So with support, athletes feel like they have a higher confidence level in their sport because they have people to fall back on if they fail or have a setback. 75% of athletes believe emotional support helps in recovery processes.
This just shows that it doesn't just help you mentally. Like, this statistic in particular shows how the recovery process is so affected by the emotional support, and that it's not just for your mental, it also helps you get back on the field quicker and stronger.
Case studies. These examine impactful instances where emotional support has aided and hindered college athletes in their mental health recovery.
Megan, a senior who does swimming, found counseling to be very useful and would go back and do it again if she needed it.
This is evidence that the emotional supports provided will be used by the athletes and is effective. Emily is a senior and does volleyball, and she thinks therapy helped in ways, but there's also a sense that her therapist lacked understanding of her eating disorder, and it was hard to want to go and get better.
This shows the limitations of therapy strategies and how, without full understanding of the therapist to help the athlete can't maximize their performance. A lot of coaches and athletic trainers want you to reach out for help when you need it, and it is not looked down upon. It's positive, and it is also really helpful for everyone to get the help they need. They know that their trainer highly suggested it for everyone because it is always helpful to take care of your mental health, especially when you're under so much pressure and stress all the time. From Chloe, a senior who does gymnastics.
This is evidence of the use of emotional support throughout these colleges, and there's positive effects and there's also negative effects. Chloe experienced positive, and she feels her athletic trainer is promoting this throughout to everyone, considering the amount of pressure and stress they're under.
Some financial challenges that go along with these methods are the fact that the therapy costs money, like it's not free. So when colleges are given money, which a lot of them aren't given money for therapy, it should go to the most effective methods for injury prevention, which aren't just getting more coaches and stuff, it's getting licensed therapists that can help the students recover and get on the field quicker without mental blocks while they go.
Limitations to therapy include personal, which requires the active decision and willingness of not only the athletes, but also the professional psychologists and coaches to get help, and they all have to be conformed and on the same page. Stigma around mental health includes discouragement around acquisition of help and it being perceived as weak and too vulnerable.
Emotional support as a cornerstone for recovering college athletes.
Emotional support gives an easier path to recovery. It provides comfort and validation, which alleviates stress, loneliness, and improving both mental and physical health. It allows for better athlete-to-coach relationships as well as athlete-to-athlete relationships.
Overall, emotional support therapy helps the athletes grow their relationships with their coaches throughout their injury, and in general, just it helps their recovery. Micah, how did the group decide to include Emily's perspective lens conclusion into the overall presentation?
We used Emily's lens as she had a lot of information that was helpful to the mental health of athletes. So it showed their problems in recovery emotionally, and it showed how if we overcome those emotions, we can we can get back onto the field quicker and get back on the play. So it's not just helpful for your own mental health; it also helps you physically.
An example of a compelling argument that our team excluded from our research is the long-term effects that injuries and mental health has on the future of athletes and how it affects their future course of life. We didn't really study that, and instead we chose to focus more on how athletes operate in college.
Okay, so reading Micah's research report helps me understand the constant pressure athletes deal with due to financial aspect. So athletes who are injured, the college covers their recovery process. So if an athlete is injured for too long, the college and the organization will have to keep paying for these recovery, and their how they recover costs money for the college. So if they're out for a really long time, the college isn't going to want to keep paying for this. They want to use the money for other expenses and aspects that could help their team be better. So in the end, the athlete might be kicked off the team, or they could lose their scholarship. This pressures athletes to go back too soon, which could eventually prolong their injury recovery process.
Emily, if we had another team member, what other perspectives or limitations could they have researched that would be useful in our project?
An additional team member could have investigated the proportion of professional psychologists that could offer the service, and then also the athletes that expressed interest in implementing therapy strategies for the college athletes. They could have examined the logistics of program expense and funding sources, organizing specific faculty members, and arranging agreements with universities, which would have given us a more realistic view to integrate into our solution. So it explained how the logistics of getting professionals into the college program systems.